Tonight's story follows a woman whose future was quietly spent by the people who promised to protect it, until the same house where they betrayed her ended up with her name on the deed. My name is Claire Morgan. I'm 33 years old. When I was 17, I opened an acceptance letter from Northwestern University at our kitchen table. My mother cried. My father hugged me. My brother Ryan clapped me on the shoulder and said, "Look at you, little genius." For 1 full hour, I thought my family was proud of me. Then my parents told me my college fund was gone. Not reduced. Not delayed. Gone. They had drained every dollar my grandmother left for my education and poured it into my brother's business because Ryan had a real chance to build something. When I cried, my father said, "Claire, you're smart. You'll figure it out." 17 years later, they stood in that same kitchen, begging me to save their house from foreclosure. They didn't know the auction had already ended. They didn't know someone had bought it through a holding company. They didn't know that someone was me. Before I tell you about the day I walked back into that house with the deed in my bag, you need to understand how my family measured worth. In the Morgan house, potential was not something you earned. It was something my parents assigned at birth. Ryan was potential. I was preparation. Ryan was the dreamer. I was the backup plan. Ryan was 3 years older than me, tall, charming, and allergic to consequences. He could walk into a room late, broke, and underprepared, and somehow leave with someone offering to help him. Teachers called him bright but unfocused. Coaches called him a natural leader. My mother called him too big for small systems. My father called him an entrepreneur before his time. I called him Ryan. Just Ryan. The boy who borrowed my calculator and returned it broken. The teenager who crashed my father's car and somehow got a lecture about confidence instead of responsibility. The 22-year-old who quit community college after 1 semester because classrooms kill vision. I was different. I liked rules because rules told you where the ground was. I liked calendars, scholarship forms, budget sheets, and library quiet. My parents thought this made me safe. Safe meant they did not have to worry. Safe meant they did not have to invest emotionally. Safe meant I would survive whatever they decided. My grandmother understood me better than anyone else in that house. Her name was Eleanor Morgan, though everyone called her Nora. She was my father's mother, a retired accountant with silver hair, sharp eyes, and a handbag full of peppermints she never offered unless she liked you. Grandma Nora did not believe in potential without proof. She believed in receipts, ledgers, and showing up on time. Every Sunday afternoon, she came to our house for dinner, and while my parents praised Ryan's newest idea, she would sit beside me and ask about my grades, my books, my plans. When I was 12, she started teaching me how to balance a checkbook at the dining room table. My brother laughed from the couch. "Grandma, she's 12. Let her be a kid." Grandma Nora didn't even look at him. Children who understand money become adults who can't be easily trapped by it. I didn't know then how much I would need that sentence. When I was 14, Grandma took me to open a savings account. She made me read every line before signing. The bank officer smiled and said, "Most adults don't read this carefully." Grandma said, "That is why most adults are surprised by fees." I loved her for that. She was not soft in the way grandmothers and greeting cards are soft. She didn't bake cookies. She didn't pinch cheeks. She corrected grammar, questioned assumptions, and once told Ryan that vision without math is just a daydream with a mouth. My mother thought she was harsh. I thought she was honest. The first time I heard about the college fund, I was 15. Grandma Nora picked me up from debate practice and drove me to a diner near the river. She ordered black coffee and a slice of lemon pie. I ordered fries because I was 15 and believed potatoes counted as emotional support. Halfway through the meal, she pulled a folder from her purse. "This is for you," she said. Inside were account statements. My name was printed at the top, Claire Elizabeth Morgan Education Trust. I stared at it. "What is this?" "Your college fund." I looked up. "Mine?" "Yours. I started it when you were born. Your parents know about it, but they do not control it alone. Your father is listed as custodian until you turn 18, but the money is restricted for tuition, housing, books, and approved education expenses." I remember touching the paper carefully, like the numbers might vanish if I breathed too hard. The balance was $86,412.17. That was more money than I could imagine belonging to anything connected to me. Grandma tapped the statement. "This is not a gift for being special. This is a tool. Tools are for building. Do not let anyone turn it into decoration." I frowned. Who would? She looked out the diner window toward the parking lot. People who prefer dreams to plans. I knew she meant Ryan. I did not know she meant my parents, too. Grandma Nora died in March of my junior year of high school. A stroke. Sudden, no long goodbye. No final letter at the bedside. Just a phone call at 5:40 inches the morning, and my father sitting on the edge of the bed with his face in his hands. I cried so hard I couldn't speak. Ryan cried too, briefly, then disappeared into the garage with my father. Later, I heard them talking about Grandma's accounts, her house, her car, her old jewelry. People reveal themselves strangely around death. Some grieve the person. Some inventory the remains. At the funeral, my father gave a speech about his mother's discipline. My mother cried into a tissue. Ryan stood beside me in a black suit he had borrowed from a friend because he said buying one felt bad energy. I held Grandma's old leather wallet in my hand because Dad had asked me to clean out her purse, and I had found it there, still smelling faintly of peppermint. Inside the wallet was a folded note, not a full letter, just one line in Grandma's tight handwriting. "Claire, paper remembers what people rewrite." I did not understand it then. I kept it anyway. The next year, I got into Northwestern. I had applied to other schools too, practical ones, cheaper ones, safer ones, but Northwestern was the dream I barely allowed myself to say out loud. Journalism and economics, financial reporting, investigative work. I wanted to write about systems that hurt people quietly: loans, housing, healthcare bills, predatory contracts. I wanted to understand the hidden machinery behind ordinary ruin. When the acceptance email came, I screamed. My mother ran in from the laundry room. My father came from the garage. Even Ryan looked up from his phone. For 1 hour, everything was beautiful. My mother cried and called me brilliant. My father hugged me with both arms. Ryan posted a photo of me holding the printed acceptance letter with the caption, "My little sister is smarter than all of us." I believed the moment. That is the part that still embarrasses me. I believed them. That night, after dinner, my father cleared his throat. "Claire, your mother and I need to talk to you about something." We sat at the kitchen table. Same table where Grandma had taught me checkbooks. Same overhead light. Same small crack near the edge where Ryan had dropped a cast iron pan and no one had blamed him. My mother folded her hands. "You know your grandmother loved you very much." I felt my body go cold. No good conversation starts with someone reminding you that a dead person loved you. My father said, "The education fund, there have been some changes." "What changes?" He looked at my mother. My mother looked at the table. I said, "Dad." He sighed. "Ryan's business needed capital." The room went silent. Ryan was not there. That was important. He did not sit at the table while my future was explained away. He had already received the benefit without having to watch the cost. "What do you mean Ryan's business needed capital?" My mother said quickly, "It was an opportunity, honey. A real one. He found a lease on a commercial kitchen space, and the equipment was available at a discount. And your father thought, 'My college fund?'" My father's jaw tightened. It was family money. "No, it wasn't. Claire. Grandma said it was restricted." My mother reached for my hand. I pulled it away. My father's voice became firm, the way it did when he wanted authority to replace accuracy. "The account was in my name as custodian. Your grandmother trusted me to make decisions for the family, for my education, and Ryan's future affects this family too." I stared at him. "How much?" No one answered. "How much is left?" My mother's eyes filled. That was when I knew. I pushed back from the table and walked to my room. My father followed me halfway down the hall. "Claire, listen to me. You're smart. You'll get scholarships, you'll figure it out." I turned around. That sentence became a wall in my memory. "You're smart, you'll figure it out." I wanted to throw something. I wanted to scream. I wanted Grandma Nora to walk into the hallway with her peppermint purse and ledger eyes and make everyone tell the truth. Instead, I asked, "Does Ryan know?" My father looked away. Of course, Ryan knew. My mother cried behind him. Not for me, I realized. For the discomfort of being seen. I closed my bedroom door and sat on the floor until morning. Ryan's business was called Morgan Craft Kitchen. He said it would be a community-driven food incubator. That meant he wanted to rent kitchen space to small food startups, host pop-up dinners, sell branded sauces, and eventually franchise the concept. It sounded impressive if you did not ask questions. Grandma would have asked questions. I asked them too, later, when I found the business plan on my father's desk. There were no real projections, no signed vendor agreements, no insurance plan, no permits completed, just language. Community, innovation, culinary disruption, neighborhood energy. My college fund bought ovens, prep tables, a walk-in freezer, branding, legal fees, 3 months of rent, and one very expensive sign with Ryan's name on it. My mother called it an investment in the family. I called Northwestern and asked for more financial aid. Then I called the cheaper state school that had offered me a partial scholarship. Then I cried in the bathroom at my part-time job because the customer service counter at a grocery store is apparently where 17-year-old girls go to understand betrayal. I did not go to Northwestern. I went to Ohio State on loans, scholarships, and work study. I told people it was my choice because explaining the truth made me feel like an unpaid witness at my own robbery. Ryan's business opened the same week I moved into my freshman dorm. My parents threw him a launch party. There were string lights, local reporters, catered appetizers, and a speech from my father about believing in young entrepreneurs. My mother posted photos with the caption, "So proud of our son for chasing his dream." I saw the post from my dorm room, sitting on a mattress with no sheets, because I had chosen textbooks over a comforter set. I did not comment. College taught me how expensive survival could be. I worked in the library, then at a coffee shop, then as a research assistant for a professor who studied household debt. I learned to stretch groceries, appeal financial aid decisions, buy used books, and sleep in 4-hour blocks during finals. Every semester, I watched loan balances climb. Every semester, Ryan's business sent family group chat updates. The launch was strong. The market was complicated. The landlord was unreasonable. The suppliers were unreliable. The city permit office was hostile to innovation. By my sophomore year, Morgan Craft Kitchen was behind on rent. By junior year, Ryan had pivoted to a premium sauce brand. By senior year, the business had closed. My college fund was gone. Ryan's business was gone. The sign with his name on it was gone. But somehow, in my family, the failure still belonged to me. Because I had become difficult. That was my mother's word. Difficult. I asked why Ryan was not paying my loans. Difficult. I asked why my parents were refinancing the house. Difficult. I asked why Dad had signed a personal guarantee for Ryan's equipment lease. Difficult. I asked why everyone still spoke about Ryan like a wounded genius instead of a grown man who had burned through money that was not his. Very difficult. After graduation, I took a job as a junior analyst at a real estate finance firm in Columbus. Not journalism. Not the investigative career I had imagined. Debt had a way of editing dreams. The firm specialized in distressed properties, mortgage servicing, foreclosure risk, and asset recovery. It was not glamorous. It was spreadsheets, title searches, county records, lien priority, loan modifications, and long calls with people who had waited too long to open envelopes. I was good at it. Painfully good. There is a particular skill you develop when your own future was stolen through paperwork. You learn to read every line. By 26, I was managing foreclosure review files. By 29, I moved to a larger firm that acquired distressed residential portfolios. By 32, I was director of asset strategy at Halden and Pierce Capital. My job was to identify properties worth saving, properties worth selling, and properties where the story was hidden in documents no one wanted to read. I made good money. Not instantly, not easily, but steadily. I paid my student loans aggressively. I lived in small apartments. I drove a used Corolla until the driver's side window stopped rolling down, and I learned to order drive-through coffee by opening the door. My parents called sometimes. Not often. Usually when Ryan had an emergency. Ryan's sauce brand had failed. Then a food truck idea had failed. Then a consulting idea had failed. He was not lazy exactly. He worked in bursts of passion, then collapsed when reality asked for maintenance. My mother called this creative exhaustion. Banks called it default. My father kept helping him. A credit card here, a co-signed loan there. A home equity line of credit just to stabilize things. My parents' house became the silent investor in Ryan's collapse. I warned them once. Only once. I was 28, sitting at their kitchen table during Thanksgiving. Ryan was outside smoking with a cousin, telling him about a meal prep app that would change how busy professionals eat. My mother was packing leftovers into containers for him. My father was reviewing papers near the sink. I saw the bank letter. Second, mortgage adjustment notice. I knew enough by then to feel alarm before I read the details. "Dad," I said quietly, "why is there a second mortgage adjustment?" He took the paper from my hand. "That's private. Is this for Ryan?" My mother turned from the counter. "Claire, not today. Is the house collateral?" My father's face darkened. "You work around mortgages for 5 minutes and think you understand everything." "I understand enough to know you're putting the house at risk." Ryan came back inside at that exact moment. "What's happening?" I looked at him. "Did they refinance for you?" He laughed. Not nervously, dismissively. "Here we go." My mother said, "Your brother needed help restructuring." Restructuring what? Another failure? Ryan's face hardened. "You still mad about college?" The room went quiet. Still mad. As if my education fund were an old argument about borrowed shoes. I said, "Yes." Ryan rolled his eyes. "You graduated, didn't you?" I looked at my parents. Neither corrected him. That was the moment I stopped coming home for holidays. For 5 years, I kept distance. Aunt Helen became my only real family connection. She was my father's younger sister, quiet but sharp, the kind of woman who listened more than she spoke and remembered everything. She had never married, lived in a small blue house 2 towns over, and worked as a county records clerk for 30 years before retiring. If Grandma Nora had been a ledger, Aunt Helen was an archive. She called me every Sunday evening. Not for money, not for favors. Just to ask what I had eaten and whether my houseplants were still losing their will to live. Aunt Helen knew the truth about the college fund. Not all of it at first, but enough. After Grandma died, she had asked my father about the education trust. He told her it was handled. Years later, she learned what handled meant. She never forgave him. "I should have pushed harder," she told me once. "You didn't take it," I said. "No, but I believed your father was better than he was because it was easier than admitting Nora had been right to worry." Then she handed me a folder. We were sitting in her kitchen, drinking coffee from mugs shaped like cats, because Aunt Helen had strange taste and no shame. "What is this?" I asked. "Copies." "Of what?" "Your grandmother's original trust paperwork. Bank statements, withdrawal records, transfer authorizations. Your father signed most of them. Your mother signed 2. Ryan signed the business capitalization agreement acknowledging the source of funds." My hand froze on the folder. Ryan knew? Aunt Helen looked at me gently. Yes. Something inside me went very quiet. I had always suspected he knew, but suspicion leaves room for mercy. Documentation removes the furniture. I opened the folder. There it was. Claire Elizabeth Morgan Education Trust. Original balance, restrictions, custodian duties, withdrawal dates, transfers to Morgan Craft Kitchen, LLC, my father's signature, my mother's signature, Ryan's signature on a receipt of capital contribution, and one note from the bank officer dated 2 weeks before the final withdrawal. Custodian advised funds are being redirected for family business opportunity. Confirmed beneficiary not present. Beneficiary not present. That was one way to say a girl's future was emptied while she was in calculus class. Aunt Helen slid a smaller envelope toward me. "Your grandmother left this with me. She told me not to give it to you until you had stopped asking them to admit what they did." I stared at her. "When did I stop?" "When you stopped going to Thanksgiving." Inside was a letter from Grandma Nora. "Claire, if this letter reaches you, then someone failed to respect the purpose of the fund. I am sorry. I tried to build guardrails, but paper cannot stop a person determined to climb over it. I do not know what they will tell you. They may say family needed it. They may say your brother had potential. They may say you were strong enough to manage without it. People often praise strength when they are asking someone to survive harm quietly. Do not let them make survival into consent." I pressed the letter to my chest. Aunt Helen looked out the window. "She knew," I whispered. "She knew Ryan. She knew your father. She hoped the paperwork would be enough. It wasn't." "No," Aunt Helen said, "but it remembered." Paper remembers what people rewrite. Grandma's note in the wallet. Now I understood. 3 months after Aunt Helen gave me that folder, the first foreclosure alert crossed my desk. I wasn't looking for my parents' house. That would have been dramatic. Real life is usually more insulting than dramatic. Halden and Pierce had acquired a small batch of distressed residential loans from a regional lender. I was reviewing the portfolio summary when I saw the address. 1,847 Linden Grove Road, my childhood home. I stared at it until the numbers blurred. Outstanding balance, missed payments, home equity line, second mortgage, legal fees, notice of default, scheduled foreclosure sale pending. My parents were losing the house. The house where Grandma taught me money. The house where my college fund disappeared. The house where Ryan's dreams had eaten through walls no one could see. I closed the file and walked to the bathroom. I stood in a stall for 5 minutes, breathing slowly, my hand pressed against the metal door. Then I went back to my desk and did what my family had taught me to do. I handled it. Carefully. Legally. Quietly. First, I disclosed the conflict to my boss, Marissa Cole. Marissa was 50, terrifyingly calm, and had once told a banker that optimism is not a repayment strategy. I respected her deeply. I walked into her office and closed the door. My parents' house is in the portfolio. She looked up. Address? I gave it to her. She opened the file. Do you need to be screened off? Yes, from internal decision-making on that asset. She studied me. But, if it goes to public foreclosure sale, I want to bid personally through an LLC. Marissa leaned back. That is emotionally loaded. Yes. Is it revenge? I thought about it. No, it's asset recovery. Her mouth twitched. That answer concerns me less than it should. I will not use non-public information. I'll only use public filings and auction records. I'll retain separate counsel. Good. She looked at me for a long moment. Claire, buying your parents' foreclosed house will not give you back Northwestern. I know. Do you? I swallowed. Yes. She nodded slowly. Then document everything. I almost laughed. That was the closest thing to a blessing my profession had. For the next 4 months, I watched from a distance. Public notices appeared, certified letters were sent. My parents tried a loan modification too late. Ryan moved back into the house temporarily after his latest apartment situation collapsed. My mother left me one voicemail in March. Claire, honey, we need to talk. Your father and I are dealing with a little mortgage issue, and since you understand these things, a little mortgage issue. That was like calling a house fire a candle problem. I did not call back that day. I needed time to decide who I wanted to be. A week later, my father called. I answered. Claire, he said, sounding older than I remembered. Your mother said she left you a message. She did. We need advice. Advice or money? Silence. Then, both, maybe. I closed my eyes. What happened? He sighed. The lender is being unreasonable. How many months behind are you? That's not how many. A pause. 9. 9 months is not unreasonable, Dad. His voice hardened automatically. You don't know the full situation. I probably know more than you think. He ignored that. Ryan's business debt created some temporary strain. I almost smiled. Temporary strain. Ryan had turned my college fund into commercial kitchen equipment, and now he had turned my parents' house into lender collateral. But in my family, Ryan never caused damage. He created temporary strain. What do you want from me? We need help stopping the foreclosure. How much? He exhaled. To reinstate? around $74,000. But if we could restructure, Dad, what? Did you use the house to secure Ryan's debts? That's complicated. No, it isn't. He went quiet. Then he said the sentence I had known was coming. Claire, this is still your family home. Family home. Not when they emptied my fund. Not when I stopped coming for holidays. Not when I asked questions. But now, when the bank wanted payment, it became family. I'll think about it, I said. His relief was immediate. Thank you. That relief told me he thought I would pay. They all did. Because once a family assigns you a role, they keep sending scripts long after you stop auditioning. I did think about it, but not the way he meant. I hired an attorney named Priya Shah, who specialized in foreclosure auctions and conflict transactions. She had no patience for emotional summaries and asked excellent questions. Do you want to save them or buy the property? I want to buy the property. Will you let them live there? I don't know. Figure that out before the deed is recorded. Boundaries after purchase are harder than bids. She was right. Aunt Helen was the only family member I told. She sat across from me at her kitchen table, the same cat mugs between us. You're going to buy Nora's house, she said. My parents' house. No, she said. Nora helped them buy that house. Your father forgets that. I don't. I'm not sure I should. Because it looks cruel? Yes. Aunt Helen sipped her coffee. Cruel was spending your college fund and telling you to figure it out. Buying a property at public auction is not cruel. It is capitalism with better paperwork. I laughed despite myself. Then she softened. What will you do when they ask to stay? I don't know. You do. You're just afraid saying it will make you sound like them. That hit too close. I did not want to become someone who used money to control people. I did not want to stand in the ruins of their bad choices and enjoy the view. I did not want revenge to wear my face. But I also did not want to rescue the same people who had handed my future to Ryan and called it family. The auction was held online on a Thursday morning in June. I sat in Priya's office, not mine, because I needed the separation. The LLC was called Nora Street Holdings. Priya said it sounded respectable. I said it sounded like a woman who kept receipts. She did not ask what I meant. The bidding lasted 12 minutes. 3 investors dropped out early. One stayed longer than I liked. My hands were steady until the final confirmation screen appeared. Winning bidder, Nora Street Holdings LLC. I had bought my childhood home. Not dramatically. Not with thunder. With a wire transfer and a confirmation email. Priya printed the receipt and slid it across the desk. Congratulations, she said carefully. I stared at the page. I expected satisfaction. I expected anger. I expected some grand emotional release. Instead, I felt the strangest quiet. The kind that comes after a door closes and you realize you are not locked inside anymore. My parents did not know immediately. The foreclosure process gave them notice of sale, but not the buyer's identity in any way they understood. My father called me the next day. They sold it, he said. I'm sorry. I meant that more than I expected. We're trying to find out who bought it. Maybe we can negotiate. Maybe. Claire, if there is anything you can do. I looked at the auction receipt on my desk. What would you want me to do? Talk to them. Help us buy time. Help us stay. This is your family home. I let the phrase sit there. Then I said, I can come by Sunday. His relief came again. Thank you. Your mother will be so glad. Ryan too. Of course Ryan was there. Sunday arrived hot and bright. I drove to Linden Grove Road with the deed documents in a leather folder on the passenger seat. I had not been back in 5 years. The house looked smaller. That was my first thought. The maple tree in the front yard was bigger, the porch railing needed paint, and the shutters were still the deep green my mother had chosen when I was 10. My old bedroom window was on the second floor, left side. The curtains were different. I sat in the car for 1 full minute. Then I picked up the folder and walked to the front door. My mother opened it before I knocked twice. Claire. She looked older, still polished, but thinner around the eyes. She hugged me quickly, too brightly. "Come in, we're all in the kitchen." Of course we were. Every important betrayal in my life seemed to happen under that kitchen light. My father sat at the table with papers spread in front of him. Ryan leaned against the counter, arms crossed, looking irritated by circumstances he had helped create. My mother moved toward the stove, though nothing was cooking. "Coffee?" she asked. "No, thank you," Ryan said. Look who finally came home. I looked at him. "Hello, Ryan." He smirked. Still formal. I placed my folder on the table, but did not open it. My father cleared his throat. "We appreciate you coming." The house was sold, but we're still within a window where maybe the buyer would consider terms. "What terms?" Ryan stepped forward. "We need to stay for at least a year. Maybe lease with option to buy back. Investors do that." I looked at him. "Do they?" He frowned. My mother sat down. "Claire, I know things have been complicated, but this house means everything to us." I looked around the kitchen. The crack in the table was still there. So, was the window over the sink where Grandma used to stand, peeling apples with a paring knife, telling me that neatness was not the same as honesty? "What does it mean?" I asked. My mother blinked. "What? You said the house means everything. What does it mean?" My father looked impatient. "Claire, this isn't philosophical." "No, it's financial." That quieted him. I opened the folder and removed 1 page. The foreclosure sale confirmation. I placed it on the table. My father put on his reading glasses. Ryan leaned closer. My mother stared at my face. My father read the buyer name aloud. Nora Street Holdings. A small crease appeared between his eyebrows. "Nora?" my mother whispered. Ryan said, "Who the hell is Nora Street?" I placed the next page down. The LLC registration. My name, managing member, Claire Elizabeth Morgan. No one moved. The refrigerator hummed. Outside, a lawnmower started somewhere down the street. My father looked up slowly. "You bought the house." "Yes." My mother's hand went to her mouth. Ryan pushed off the counter. "You bought our house?" I looked at him. "No. I bought the bank's asset." His face flushed. "That's cute," my father said. "Claire, why would you do this?" I almost laughed. Not because anything was funny. Because the question was so large and so late. Because it was for sale. My mother's eyes filled. "How could you?" There it was. Not what happened. Not how did we get here. Not what did we do. How could you? As if I had taken something stable and made it fragile. I took another page from the folder. Grandma Nora's Education Trust Statement. The original one, $86,412.17. I placed it beside the foreclosure confirmation. My father's face changed. Recognition first, then dread. Ryan looked away. That told me enough, but I kept going. Next page. Withdrawal records. Transfers to Morgan Craft Kitchen LLC. Next page. Capital contribution receipt. Ryan's signature. I placed that one directly in front of him. "You signed it," I said. Ryan's jaw tightened. I was 22. I was 17. My mother said, "Claire, That was years ago. Yes, I said, and apparently houses can take years to collapse. My father removed his glasses. That money was used to help your brother build something. No, that money was used to teach me I was on my own. My mother started crying. I did not stop. You told me I was smart. You told me I'd figure it out. You told me Ryan needed a chance. You took the fund Grandma built for my education and used it to finance a business with no permits, no projections, and no discipline. Ryan snapped. You think you're better than me because you work for some foreclosure company? I looked at him. No, Ryan. I think I'm better at reading documents before signing them. His face went red. My father hit the table once with his palm. Enough. The sound used to scare me. It didn't now. I turned to him. You signed as custodian. You had a legal and moral duty to protect that fund. He looked old then. Not sympathetic old. Exposed old. I made a decision for the family. No, you made a decision for Ryan and sent me the bill. My mother whispered, We thought you would be okay. I looked at her. That was always the excuse, wasn't it? Claire will be okay. Claire will figure it out. Claire doesn't need as much. Claire is practical. Claire is strong. My voice stayed calm. You built an entire family economy around the idea that I would survive being shortchanged. No one spoke. Then Ryan said, So this is revenge. I looked at the deed. No, revenge would be letting you believe I was coming here with a check? He laughed bitterly. Then what is this? I looked around the kitchen again. At the table, the sink, the hallway where my father had followed me the night they told me the money was gone, the doorway where my mother had cried for herself. This is me figuring it out. My father closed his eyes. There it was. The sentence he had given me at 17. Now it had come home older, sharper, and legally recorded. My mother reached across the table. Claire, please, we have nowhere to go. That isn't true. It feels true. I know the difference. I opened the final section of the folder. I'm not here to throw you out tomorrow. Ryan scoffed. How generous. I ignored him. I'm offering a 6-month lease at below market rent. Written agreement. No missed payments, no informal extensions. Ryan does not live here. Ryan exploded. What? I looked at him. You heard me. My mother shook her head. Claire, he's your brother. He is also one of the reasons you lost the house. Ryan stepped toward the table. My father said, Ryan, sit down. For once, Ryan listened. I continued, After 6 months, you move to an apartment you can afford. I will help you find one if you want. I will not pay the deposit. I will not cover moving costs. I will not refinance your consequences. My mother cried harder. You're being so cold. I looked at her. No, I'm being clear. You're just used to warmth costing me something. Aunt Helen arrived 10 minutes later. I had asked her to come, though not to speak unless she wanted to. She walked into the kitchen with a cloth tote bag and the expression of a woman who had been waiting 17 years to enter a room. My father stiffened. Helen. Daniel. My mother wiped her eyes. Ryan muttered, Great. Aunt Helen ignored him and placed Grandma Nora's letter on the table. Your mother saw this coming, she said to my father. He did not touch the letter. Aunt Helen looked at him with quiet disappointment. She built that fund because she knew Claire would need something no one could take from her, and you took it. My father's face twisted. Helen, don't. No, I should have said this years ago. You dressed favoritism up as faith in your son and called it family. Nora would have been ashamed. The room went still. That was the only time my father truly looked wounded. Not when I showed the records. Not when I revealed the house. When he heard what his mother would have thought? Good, I thought. Then I felt guilty for thinking it. Then I decided guilt could sit down and wait its turn. Ryan grabbed his keys. I'm not staying for this. I looked at him. You're not staying here at all. He glared at me. For a second, I saw the boy who laughed when Grandma taught me checkbooks. The brother who always believed someone else would clean the spill before it reached his shoes. You got your little moment, he said. I shook my head. No, Ryan, you got my money. I got the deed. He left. The door slammed. My mother flinched. No one followed him. That was new. The next hour was paperwork. Not emotional resolution. Paperwork. The lease terms. The move-out date. The rent amount. Maintenance responsibilities. No additional occupants without written approval. My father read every line. I wondered if he thought of Grandma. I hoped he did. My mother signed with shaking hands. My father signed slower. When they finished, my mother looked at me and said, "Do you hate us?" I was tired by then. Tired in the old way. No, I said. But I don't trust you with anything that doesn't have my name on it, she cried quietly. This time, I did not comfort her. Aunt Helen and I left together. Outside, the sun was beginning to lower behind the maple tree. I stood on the sidewalk and looked back at the house. It did not feel like victory. It felt like ownership. Those are different things. 6 months passed. My parents paid rent on time. My father got a part-time consulting job. My mother sold furniture she had once called heirloom and later admitted she had ordered from a catalog in 2008. Ryan moved in with a friend, then with another friend, then eventually into a small apartment above a garage. He did not speak to me. That was fine. My parents moved out in December. The day they left, my father handed me the keys in the driveway. He looked at the house, then at me. I should have protected your fund. I said, yes. He nodded. I told myself Ryan needed it more. I know. You needed it too. I looked at him. That was the first time he had said it. Not around it, not near it, it. Yes, I said. I did. My mother hugged me before getting into the car. It was awkward. Too tight, too late, but real enough that I let it happen. After they moved out, I spent 2 weeks alone in the house before deciding what to do with it. I walked through every room. Ryan's old bedroom still had dents in the wall from a drum set phase that lasted 6 weeks. My room had been turned into storage. Boxes of holiday decorations, old bedding, broken lamps, and one plastic bin labeled Claire School Stuff. Inside were debate medals, report cards, my graduation program, and a Northwestern brochure folded carefully in half. I sat on the floor for a long time holding it. Then I found one more thing. At the bottom of the bin was the old blue dress from the library art exhibition, the one with tiny white flowers. The torn place from the name tag was still there. I pressed the fabric between my fingers and remembered standing beside my painting, waiting for people who did not come. I did not cry. Not then. I carried the dress downstairs and placed it on the kitchen table. The same table. Then I opened my laptop and began making a plan. A year later, the house reopened as the Nora Morgan House, a transitional residence for young women aging out of foster care and starting college or vocational training. Not a charity with sad posters. A real program. 4 bedrooms, shared kitchen, financial literacy workshops, emergency grants, mentorship. A small scholarship fund seeded with rental income from another property I bought later. Aunt Helen cried at the opening. My father came and stood near the back. My mother came too, quieter than I had ever seen her. Ryan did not. That was fine. During the opening, I gave a short speech. I told the girls that a house could hold many stories, and sometimes the only way to heal a place was to change what it was used for. I did not tell them everything. Some truths are foundations, not decorations. Afterward, my father walked up to the kitchen table, the one I had kept, sanded, and repaired. "Your grandmother would like this," he said. I looked at him. "She would like that the paperwork is in order." He laughed once. Then his eyes filled. "Yes," he said, "she would." It has been almost 2 years since I bought the house. My parents live in a smaller apartment now. They are not happy about it, but they are safe. My father pays his own bills. My mother has learned not to call me before checking whether the problem is actually mine. Ryan is still angry. Maybe he always will be. But last month, he mailed me a money order for $500. No note, just repayment written on the memo line. I deposited it into the Nora Morgan House scholarship account. It felt right. Aunt Helen still calls every Sunday. She says Grandma Nora would complain about our bookkeeping and secretly be proud. I believe her. As for me, I keep Grandma's first note framed in my office. Paper remembers what people rewrite. Under it, I keep a copy of the deed. Not because I need to remind myself I won, because I need to remind myself what I learned. My parents spent my future on my brother's dream. Then they told me to figure it out. So I did. I figured out loans. I figured out foreclosure law. I figured out how to build a career from the ruins of a stolen plan. I figured out that family is not proven by who asks for sacrifice, but by who protects what was meant for you. And in the end, I did not buy that house to punish them. I bought it because someone should have used it to protect a girl's future. This time, someone did. That is my story. A college fund drained. A brother's dream that swallowed a family home. A grandmother whose paperwork remembered. And one quiet woman who put her name on the deed they never thought she would be able to afford. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone who was told they would figure it out after everyone else spent what was meant for them. And remember this, sometimes karma is not losing the house. Sometimes karma is watching the person you underestimated become the only one who knows how to save it.